I am genuinely in disbelief that I have to say this, but killing innocent people under any circumstance is just wrong. But apparently, that's not as common sense as I once thought it was, because there have been some people on Twitter who have taken to defending some interesting characters. Now, if you remember Jet and Hammer, they're characters who fought back against the Fire Nation in their own way, but took things to some interesting extremes. Basically, all of this started when actual bad writing takes reposted this account and the associated take. This could cause controversy, but my biggest problem with Atla is how it depicted colonized people as villains for using violence against settlers. Characters like Jet and Hammer get horrible treatment simply for fighting back the oppressing nation. Incorrect. It is a bad take, because they weren't simply fighting back the oppressed nation or settlers. Let me break down exactly what each of these characters did. Firstly, Jet. Jet was an egomaniac who justified all of his evil actions against people with his need to rid the area of the Fire Nation. What was he going to do? Wipe out an entire Earth Nation town to destroy a Fire Nation garrison that was housed there. It was pointed out that innocent men, women, and children were all in that town. Jet didn't care. Now, what did Hammer do? This girl here. She was a waterbender who was captured by the Fire Nation and subsequently put in prison. Now, she managed to escape and learned blood bending, and then used that power to continue killing Fire Nation citizens within the Fire Nation for years. She made it her personal goal to enact her revenge against innocent civilians who never actually did anything to her. These are people who were perfectly fine with the civilian casualties they would cause, the harm they were doing against innocent people who never actually did anything to them, or to anyone for that matter. And Twitter took to trying to justify it. So, like this one. This is not a bad take at all. You're just too politically impaired to understand the notion behind a revolution. No. What these people did was take out their vendetta against people who had never done anything to them. That isn't revolution. You're associating revolting against an oppressive government, i.e., the way the American Revolution went, with someone going out of their way to harm innocent people, or to not care when their actions would directly lead to the deaths of many innocent people. You see, I think that this top take is kind of funny because it just straight up ignores that a good amount of revolutionaries throughout history have turned straight up evil because they're egomaniacs. Look at the French Revolution. These are people who went insane with the power that they acquired, and they did some pretty awful things. I mean, and then you have Che Guevara, Fidel Castro, all the shit they did, Pol Pot. How about, the Communist Revolution in Russia? We could go into more and more of these sorts of revolutions and how they actually played out. I think a lot of these people glorify the idea of a revolution, and they don't actually understand just how heinous some of the actions that these revolutions took were. And that brings me to this article, one that occurred a little closer to home than I would have liked. Chicago area landlord accused of killing Palestinian American boy, stabbing woman because they were Muslim. This was updated on October 15th to include that a funeral service for the 6-year-old boy would be held. This happened not too long ago as of recording. And here we have a 71-year-old landlord who has been charged with murder after authorities say he stabbed and killed a 16-year-old Palestinian American boy and seriously wounded his mother because they are Muslim, and due to the ongoing war between Israel and Hamas. The rest of the article goes on to detail exactly how that whole encounter went down and how the man refused to answer any police questions. And regardless of your stance on the Israel Palestine thing, I'm not going to weigh in on it. We should all take issue when either side does something that results in innocent civilian casualties. When either side does something that results in the death of innocent men, women, and children, we should probably call that out. You are not justified in any way, under any circumstance, to go and kill a bunch of people who had nothing to do with it, to do with the original circumstances. And now we can get into some very interesting things with this debate, but I'm not going to go down that route because I don't want to sit here and debate politics and philosophy and history. The point I'm trying to make is that there is an ideology that is out there that says that you are completely justified doing anything you want to anyone who is involved with a group or is attached tangentially to a group that has done you wrong. It is the idea that if Paul punched me, it is okay to go and punch Paul's wife or his son. Your issue is not with either of those two, it's with the guy who struck you. It is a vindictive, evil ideology and belief that killing innocent people is justified as long as they're not on your side. You see, I'm one of those freaks, apparently, who thinks that killing innocent people is wrong regardless, and that it should be shamed and treated as what it is, murder. But again, that is unfortunately lost on some people. I wish I had never had to cover this topic, but it's relevant. It's one that struck a nerve with me and one that I felt I needed to shine a light on. And if you're one of those people saying that it's okay for innocent civilians to die as long as it's in favor of a cause you support, genuinely go get help. Because you're not right in the head. And I don't want to ever hear any sort of moral posturing out of someone like you when you're perfectly fine with innocent people getting killed as collateral damage.